time we'll call to order the regular meeting of Finance Personnel Committee. This is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. Carrie, roll please.
Alderperson Gantz.
Here.
Cuniger.
Here.
Herock.
Here.
Quigley.
Here.
Mayor Boyd.
I'm here, thank you. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the January 14th, 2025 regular meeting of the Finance Personnel Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Boy, I think that's a motion by Alderperson Cuniger. Second by Alderperson. Motion by Alderperson Gantz. Seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. So I got the P-Rock one, that's for sure. Any discussion or comments?
Do you remember that skit?
That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Finance and Personnel Committee. Anyone virtually or in person have any public comment upon matters not on the agenda? If so, just state your name or raise your hand, of which I can't see, and Larry will identify them. For the second time, any public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Now's your time to speak. For the third and final time, any public comment on matters not on the agenda. Now is your time. All right, let's go to number 4. Consideration and request for approval to overhire for police. Chief, I think you're there. Jeremy, you want to give an overview of that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Basically, it's the same request that we've made over the past couple of years due to the amount of time it takes for us to recruit and hire and train new officer candidates. We're experiencing roughly a 9-month gap between a vacancy occurring and the ability to fill it with somebody that is trained and ready to go. So currently we're in the process of another hiring process, hoping that we could find 3 really great candidates. If we do, I would like to hire 2 to fill the current vacancies that we actually have, and then that third person to be the potential overhire later in 2025.
Thank you. Again, as you stated, we did this last year, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve overhire for police for discussion purposes.
I'll second.
Ooh, that's
Gantz.
tough.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? And again, we have the chief here.
I have a comment.
Alderperson Cuniger, I believe. Go ahead.
Chief, can you just clarify that this is kind of like a continuation of what we did last year, not an increase, right? We're maintaining an additional hires to cover the gap, but not an additional hire, if that makes sense.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
We're never asking for more than the ability to hire more than one above our normal complement.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Other questions or comments we have on this item on the agenda?
No.
Seeing there are no more, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Item 5, consideration and request to allow overhire of 1 firefighter for 2025. I'm not sure who's here representing fire, because I don't see, unless Chief Matzke's there.
Chief Matzke is here.
He is here.
Chief Matzke, do you want to, because Chief Matzke is the same thing, do you want to give just a brief overview of your request?
Thank you. Our situation is a little bit different. It doesn't take us quite as long to onboard, but what happens for us is we're just really over these next couple of years experiencing high turnover. We have an age bubble. As we spoke, this would be the 3rd time that we've requested this. Each time, it's very few couple months that we actually have the overhire before we end up seeing a resignation or retirement. This year, we're on pace to potentially turn over 8 people. So this is one of those, again, where we're asking to get this person up and running, so when that vacancy occurs, they slot right in and we maintain operational integrity. So it's not the length of the onboarding, just that we're really in this experiencing high turnover, which again, we were predicting, we talked about, we knew, and we're just trying to manage.
Thank you. Yes, 8 people is pretty unprecedented, but like you said, you're kind of aware this is going on, correct? And I assume Alderperson Cunningham, you kind of asked the same kind of question. Did you want to reiterate that, or does anyone have any questions regarding this?
Exactly the same. Yep, exactly the same. So
Same answer.
just a one-time, overhire, and if we're predicting this kind of turnover again for next year, then likely the request would come again. And if we don't see an indication that we're having that kind of turnover, then we wouldn't be inclined to ask for it again.
Very good, thank you. I make a motion to allow the overhire of 1 firefighter for 2025.
I'll second. Gans.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments anyone has? All right, seeing there are no more, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 6, consideration. Did someone say something?
Oh, I just said thank you.
Sorry. Item 6, you're welcome. Consideration and possible action on changes to collective bargaining agreement between the City of De Pere and De Pere Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF, local number 141. Eric, I believe you might want to make a comment on this.
I can certainly speak to it, Mayor. This is Shannon.
Oh, Shannon, either one that wants to take this.
Sure. So I'm pleased to announce that we have a tentative agreement with the fire union. Before you get really excited, it's for years 2022 and 2023. Note that it was not for 2021, that was in the memo, but we reached a resolution with fire years ago for the years 2021. So we wish we could say it was 2024 and 2025. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but baby steps, right? So we did get the wage increases approved. They accepted the same wage increases that police accepted some years ago. And then we've been working for a long time and lots of meetings and lots of sweat and tears. No tears, I'm kidding. But to make some language changes, and you'll see that in your packet. We've outlined all the changes. We can certainly go through any questions that you have on that. We've continued, and we will continue to work with them for additional years to implement a contract for 2024 and beyond. We are still a ways apart when it comes to wages, unfortunately, and it's the same thing for police. And if you recall, we are headed to interest arbitration with our police union. That is scheduled for April 18th, 17th or 18th. So we are already starting to prepare for that. And then fire will follow sometime thereafter. Not sure exactly what that process will look like. It'll depend kind of what happens on the police side. But that's where we're at. Like I said, the changes are outlined in your packet. If you have any questions on any of those, we're certainly happy to answer those or go through those. But we tried to show them in track changes. You could see what they are. It's a multitude of just changes that we've been working on. Like I said, that some benefits the city, some benefits the union, but we feel like it's an overall good agreement as a whole.
Thank you. Yes, I know it's arduous and it's been going on for quite some time. I appreciate both sides coming together and at least getting this part done. So yes, it's baby steps. It's a start. Questions or comments from anyone on the board? I make a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the City of De Pere and De Pere Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF, local number 141.
I'll second. Gans.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Additional discussion or comments? And again, to clarify, that's for 2022 and 2023. All right, that said, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, consideration and possible action on contracting with outside legal counsel for the interim legal services. I think this, Eric, you want to take this, or Shannon, or who wants to take this one?
I can take this one, Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
So we are essentially making a request to potentially contract with some identified outside counsel firms during this time of transition for our department. We were tasked and have identified some possible projects that, with our current staffing levels, could potentially arise that would eat up, essentially an inordinate amount of time if they were to be fast tracked. So we wanted to, and we reached out to certain firms to kind of just gauge hourly rates, again, without knowing exactly which projects might materialize, but just to have them available and to have the authority to potentially contract with them depending on the need. So the purpose for this, again, is essentially to receive the authority to contract with outside counsel on certain projects, likely over the next couple of months, 3 to 4 months, potentially. So if any further questions you need to consider this, let me know.
Thank you. Again, that's Eric Erdman, the interim city attorney, explaining about this contract. Anyone have questions, comments, or any motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Cuniger. Again, this does make sense. So I appreciate you putting this together. Any additional comments, discussion?
Is this?
Seeing there is none. All
I have
those
a
in favor?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, Alderperson Gantz, I
Is
apologize.
it
Go
due
ahead.
to the vacancy, Percy?
Yeah, so it's in connection with that, really, the fact that we have one less person in our office to manage, the ongoing workload. So essentially, it's sort of a way to guard against, being short-staffed, essentially. So yeah, it is related to a vacancy, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you. No problem. I appreciate that, Alderperson Gantz. Anyone else have any questions or comments? I'll just wait a second. All right, seeing there are no more. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, consideration and possible action on a request from Definitely De Pere to review the 2025 Tour De Pere special event for fee waivers. Who do I kick this to?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, this is,
Larry, you want to get?
yeah. I do know that Tina is online, so if you want her to go through, I believe I saw her name up there before. Yeah, she is there. So if you want her to comment
I
on
do
it.
see it. Sure. Tina, do you want to make a little comment on this, a little background?
Yes. Oh, there we go. Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for considering our request. So just a little background. In 2023, we partnered with the city and utilized ARPA funds to become a host community of Tour of America's Dairyland. So our one-day event, known as Tour De Pere, is part of a consecutive 11-day competitive road cycling series that is known as the largest in the country, possibly even in the world. Tour De Pere draws over 500 racers from approximately 15 countries, 40 states, and then also thousands of spectators. So it's more than just a bike race. It's a community festival, and we believe that it is quickly becoming a signature event downtown. It is one that does take considerable resources to put on, but we do feel that the economic impact of the event is definitely worth that lift. So the series, communities do kind of drop out, come and go. There is changeover, I guess, if you will, that happens. And this year, Manitowoc was a host community, and they were the day before us. And this year, Manitowoc is no longer participating. So Tour of America's Dairyland did work really hard, and I know Dan's on the line too, so he can jump in or answer questions as well. But they did work hard at looking at other communities in our region to host that the void, the vacancy in the calendar, and really did come up short. So Dan and I had sat down and met with the mayor and Larry and a few others to kind of discuss this last fall, communicating our preference to Toad would be to continue with a one-day, but also acknowledging the importance of the event in our community and that we would, consider taking on a 2-day. So that's kind of where we're at. And in order to do so, we, are requesting that city services be waived so that we can put on this event and not go in the hole as an organization. But again, like I said, I think we feel that the economic benefit to our downtown, to our community, far outweighs the cost and the resources. In fact, being a 2-day in this region, we are estimating a minimum of 100 hotel room nights. That could easily be more than that. And I think that we'll see a much different impact that we had in the previous 2 years because we will have people that are staying here that will ultimately be supporting all of our surrounding businesses in the community. So open to questions, or if Dan wants to jump in with anything that I missed.
I can jump in if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can, Dan. Go ahead.
I can. So a little bit of the logistics side of it. So by being a 2-day event, Manitowoc was on a Sunday. As we look to plan out what the impact to the community would be, we take a look at, obviously the concern for a lot of people is Broadway being closed down on a Monday. We're looking at this as an opportunity to take the signature downtown Broadway event and moving it to a Sunday event, and with a non-as impactful Monday event as a I guess you'd say follow up to that one. By doing so, Toad has worked and has told us that they really love how De Pere has welcomed them to their to the format, and they love the results that the De Pere community has granted them. So as a result of that, we are going to continue to work with them to not only put on a great event, but as Tina talked about, it's kind of a very costly event. But because we're trying to be so accommodating to them, but also being sought after, we are trying to negotiate with them to reduce overall project costs for Definitely De Pere. Meaning, instead of paying for a full 2-day event, can we get some reductions because we are offering, again, such a great event. So I just want to make sure the committee is aware that the group is doing their work to be very cognizant of the cost savings.
Thank you, Tina, and thank you, Dan, for that input. Yeah, I think it's been very successful the last couple of years. It's kind of it's kind of the buzz of the area, and people have come to expect it. I think it's gone very, very well. Obviously, we weren't anticipating 2 days. They tried to find someone else. It just didn't work out. So I am fully supportive of this and our relationship with Definitely De Pere. So I appreciate you, too. Questions or comments? Alders, feel free to speak. Again, I can't see you, so if you have anything, please let me know. Otherwise, I will make a motion to approve the fee waivers. I can't see exactly what states on my paper, but it's pretty close. Tour De Pere special event for fee waivers for the event, as stated in the memo.
I'll second.
One of these to bring it back.
I think it's a great
Motion
event.
made, seconded. Alderperson Gantz, very good.
I think it's a great event. I really enjoyed it.
Good. And I'm excited as well that it's going on both sides of the river. We are one De Pere, but that is kind of exciting. Correct, Tina? I see you smiling as well, huh?
Well.
Yeah. Other questions or comments? Very good. That said, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Up next, we have item 8, consideration and possible action on increasing the city's equipment capitalization threshold from $5,000 to $10,000. Pam, you want to give overview on that one?
Just a quick overview. We had our interim audit the beginning of January, and when the auditors were in, they mentioned, have you looked at your capitalization threshold? Is it still 5,000? I said, well, we haven't discussed it, but yes, it's been 5,000, and it's been 5,000 for as long as I think anybody at City Hall can remember. So she mentioned that, with costs of things, should probably look at it and see if that still makes sense. So I'm recommending an increase from $5,000 to $10,000 for that capitalization threshold of the equipment.
Has it been as long as Larry Delo's been here? Because he's been here for a long time.
Yeah, I think it started with a memo I wrote 20-some years ago.
Wow, incredible. Thank you very much for that, Pam. Questions or comments? Seems to make sense to me. I'm going to make a motion to approve raising the equipment capitalization threshold from $5,000 to $10,000.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by, I think that's Alderperson Quigley?
Yep.
Awesome. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing there are no more, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, consideration of possible action on TID number 6 financial statements and fund transfer. Pam or Dan, do you want to take this one?
I can start with this one. So TID 6 was already being closed prior to my arrival here. So at the end of our 23 audit, we did an estimate of what those payment amounts would be back to the taxing jurisdictions. We booked that up, and I moved the city's amount to our debt fund. We also had some transfers that we made from the debt fund out to different TIDs in that same year. One of the things I realized when I got here was that some of the stuff wasn't on our books showing, like debt payments were made when they could be made to the debt service fund from a TID, which didn't show the negative TID then when truly it could have been negative or positive. Some of them were paying early into the debt fund. So we did some journal entries to clear that up, which meant our debt fund had a low balance. So I moved the amount that we had in 23 or estimated in 23 to our debt fund. Now that we're looking at the end of 24, we had this audit done that is also attached in your packet, and it came back that there's actually more in that TID than we anticipated. So we did our taxing jurisdiction payments in October out to all the NWTC, the school district, and Brown County, and now we still have a remaining amount on the city's end. So instead of me just moving it to the debt service fund like I did in 23, I wanted to talk it through and see what you guys would like to do. I put a couple of proposals in here. My first would be to look to close TID 16, which I'll show here. It had a current negative balance of almost $55,000. That's just years worth of administration fees that we've had charged to that TID, and that TID never came up and was running. So in talking with Dan, we would recommend closing that TID, and I would recommend taking that negative amount from the positive value we had left over back to the city from TID 6. In addition, I would request that we transfer the balance to our capital equipment fund, which is $415, so that we could either bond less this year in 2025 in the summer, or use it in next year's budget for capital equipment, so that we're borrowing less, essentially.
Very good, thank you. Dan, do you have more to add?
Not at this time, unless there's questions.
Very good, thank you. I like the proposal on how you want to allocate the money from the closure of the TID. Anyone have any questions or comments? All right, it appears there are none. I make a motion for the financial statements and fund transfer of TID number 6.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Alderperson P-Rock. Additional questions or comments? Seems everyone's okay with the plan that's in play.
Sounds good.
All right, that said, all right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Item 11, cash and investments report for December 31st, 2024. Pam, anything out of the ordinary? Or pretty straightforward?
Pretty straightforward.
All right, very, very good. Thank you. I do have it up right now. Anyone have any questions about the cash and investments report for December? All right, that said, I'll make a motion to receive and place on file.
Second.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Alderperson, I believe P-Rock. Any other discussion or comments? Seeing there are none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, future agenda items. Does anyone have anything? Doesn't sound like it. Up next, I will make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.